Now let's just go over a couple more of these areas that we're looking at here. So we have all our different menus up here, and Cinema 4D is organized in a really logical way, so you can explore these. I'll go into all of these later, but they pretty much all do what they say. And as we go into these different menus, like if you see these little triangles, these little black triangles, that means you can click and hold down and get more stuff in here. So when you click on these, it's not just one. If you just click once, you'll make that one object, which we can delete. But if you hold it down, then you get access to all the other stuff underneath. So let's just make another cube, because you're probably wondering what this thing down here is. And so this is the timeline. And if you used an NLE or any editing program, maybe you haven't, it's just time from 0 time to forward in time. This year we have 72 frames. And 3D software works in frames if you're used to SMPTE time or minutes and seconds. This one uses frames, so you can just have a little calculator next to you, or some little, I have a little strip of paper on my desk to convert frames to seconds, so I know. But this thing just goes forward and backward in time. Nothing is changing because nothing is animated. And if you want to animate something, which I'll do a whole part on animation, but I'll just show you the super basics of how to do it. So the basics of animation in 3D in Cinema 4D is to click an object, and we can click the record button, which now you'll see these little red dots here on the coordinates. So that means that we recorded a keyframe for these coordinates. So we recorded a place in time for these coordinates that we can go back to now. It's like stamping them. It's recording them at these positions. And then the basics of keyframe animation is that then you would just go forward in time, and you would change these coordinates. Let's go ahead and move it up in space there, and then rotate it a bunch. And then we would record them again, and if we go back in time and play through, the computer will automatically interpolate between those values. And then if you wanted to add another keyframe, you could just do so here in the middle, click record, and then now it's interpolating between those two keyframes. And there's a faster way to do it if you want to do it. This is an auto key button. You can really screw things up if you're not paying attention, because everything you do now, you don't have to press the button. You can just move things and it will animate them. So that's the basics of doing animation. And kind of the awesome thing about Cinema 4D, if you look in the attribute editor, and any of these things that have dots next to them means they're animatable. So you can animate all the things here you see with dots. Of course, these have them. And I'll explain it more as I go into the animation section, but just for the basics to understand, the empty circles mean that that parameter is keyframed, but you're not on a keyframe. It's when it turns solid red, lets you know you're on a keyframe, so you can see it here. So that's the connection between those. And to create and delete these, you can actually use keyboard shortcuts too. So if I wanted to add some keyframes here, I would hold the control key and then click on these circles. So now it's added a keyframe, then you can see the keyframe here. And if you want to delete them, you hold the shift and control key, and now it's deleting those keys. So there'll be, don't worry if you're confused or this is a little too fast, too much for you. I'll do a whole series section on animation. I just wanted to show you how this timeline works if you want to go ahead and jump ahead and screw around with it. And you can also drag the keyframes here on the timeline. And there's a couple other different views. There's a whole other timeline, and your actual F curves, your curves edit the animation, so don't be disappointed if you think, you know, this doesn't make much sense in a way to edit animation. This is just a real simple way to do it. But again, there'll be a whole section to that later. For now, I just wanted to show it to you since it's here.